and one baby in your arm. Okay, so I'm just kind of curious if you'd like to explain that.
Okay. It's simply that I've been pregnant 4 times, and I had 2 miscarriages, and then I had a stillbirth, and then I have my daughter. So I have 1 daughter here on earth and 3 in heaven.
Okay, wow, interesting. Thank you for acknowledging the ones in heaven. How did you get through all this?
Of course, it's not a pleasant experience, not to anyone. First, the 2 miscarriages happened early on in our marriage, the first 6 months of our marriage, and so by then you start asking yourself questions about, am I not supposed to have my own child, and all of that. You keep saying, oh, this is not supposed to happen to me. Why should this kind of thing be happening to me, and all of that? So it was quite challenging initially. It was a battle that we had to fight. For those first 2 miscarriages before I had my daughter, the stillbirth came after her. So at least by then I already had a child to say. But of course I carried this pregnancy to full term and then lost the child during labor. So I'm still healing from that particular experience, but in all, I'll say it's just the grace of God that has been able to keep us. And then the fact that this, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
If a particular experience does not throw you out, does not pull you down, does not kill you, it ends up making you stronger for whatever is in the future. So that's what the experience was for us.
Before you got married or before you became a mom, I'm sure you must have had some expectations, about how you would want your motherhood journey to be like. I will be this kind of mom, do this for my kids. So now, those expectations you had versus the reality that came upon you when you eventually became a mom, when the 3rd pregnancy stayed and you had her. Can you just take us through the expectations and then what reality now eventually became?
Let me start by, of course, the expectations. I didn't get married at a very, I wasn't a small girl, a very small girl when I got married. I got married at 31. And by then, I already felt, you know how it is, like we figure these things out when we get into marriage. We will know how to do these things, how to balance life, how to balance every aspect of our lives. The perfect wife that your husband will be using to talk about everywhere. The perfect mother that I can organize the home, can take care of my children, everything. I know what exactly they need at what time, give it to them. And then my career will be sorted. I have enough time. I had this expectation that I'll have everything clearly sorted and all of that, but got into marriage, it certainly was not what we expected. Sometimes I still feel that I am not even I'm not even good enough in any of the roles that I think I'm playing. I am not the good wife to be talked about. Like, I'm not doing everything I would have wanted to be doing for my husband. I am not the best mom out there. I'm not doing everything I would have wanted to be doing for my child, for my daughter. I'm not, my career-wise, I'm not even doing anything. In fact, I've not even done any serious work-related thing in a while now. So it's more or less like, before marriage, I thought I had it all figured out. But after marriage, it happened that I feel more or less like I'm not even fulfilling anything. I'm not even doing, I'm not even meeting up to 40 or 50% of the expectations that I want. And I was giving an illustration with what my daily activities look like. We wake up in the morning. When we wake up in the morning, I'm feeding my daughter. Our feeding takes about 1 hour. By the time we finish feeding, I'm trying to fix breakfast for myself and my husband. By the time that is ready, I have breakfast. The next thing is to get her ready. Then we have to do some exercises for her. And then after that, before you know it, it's time for her to eat her next food. Then it's time for me to prepare lunch. And so by the time it's 9 p.m. at night, I just look at the whole day and I'll be like, I didn't even have 1 hour block of 1 hour just for myself to do anything that is just for me. Do you understand? And that's what my reality is right now. And then having that, my daughter is mostly dependent on us at the moment. We are the ones who are doing everything for her at the moment. So it has its own toll on us, because some people will tell you that you can always send your child somewhere so that you can have some time for yourself and you have some time to rest. But as it is now, I can't send her anywhere. Even if I was in a place where I had family, I still will not be comfortable enough to send her to stay with anybody because of the special need, special attention that she requires and she needs. So it's not someone who is trained to take care of her, or it is us, either me or her dad, who can actually take care of her at the moment. So my expectation is pull apart from what my present reality as my motherhood experience. So some days there's the battle with myself of there's a self-worth battle because it feels like I'm not bringing much to the table. I'm not doing enough to make a dent. For instance, let's say financially, I'm not bringing as much money to offset. When you see that there are bills being paid, there are expenses being made, and then there's this feeling of I used to say this feeling of uselessness. Like I can't even pull funds to help to offset these bills because I'm not working. And then because my daughter has, for instance, the kind of foods that should be made for her, time specifically for her exercises, creating time to teach her, to help her learn and all of that. I feel like I'm not doing all of this. And so the biggest struggle has always been that feeling of inadequacy, that feeling of you're not doing enough. That's it.
At what point did you know that your daughter would require some special, attention, that she's going to require some special needs? Was it from birth or at a point in the journey?
No. Like I said, she was born very small, but it was more or less like, just some children come out tiny. So let's just do our best and feed her, she would come out and she would add weight. But so the first 3 months, we didn't have any issues at all. She was eating well and putting on weight. And in fact, whenever I go to the hospital for checkup, they were always hailing me that I'm doing well. For an exclusively breastfed child, she was doing very well. But after 3 months, that was when we started noticing that she wasn't putting on weight as required. We started noticing that she wasn't as firm as she used to be. The things that other babies were doing, trying to roll over, trying to pull themselves up and all of that. She was having a bit of struggles with that, and that was when we started going to ask questions, going to see doctors to check and all of that. So from around that 3 months, that's when of course, the mother's instinct, I knew there was something wrong, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. But it became glaring when she was about 7-8 months, and then she wasn't able to put pressure on her leg. She wasn't able to bear weight on her leg. So that was when it became more glaring that really there was something wrong. And then that was when we knew there was an issue, but we didn't figure out. And then she was 7 months old, but we didn't figure out what the problem was until she was 18 months. We went from hospitals to hospitals to hospitals to hospitals, and doctors saying everything. They kept guessing and guessing. It was until when she was 18 months that we had to come over to Dubai and then see a doctor who now got the diagnosis of what the issue was. So it was later, maybe around 7 months old, that's when we knew that there was something wrong somewhere. What even triggered the Dubai movement was, I remember going to, when myself and my husband, we had already discussed it. So around September, when she was about a year, 2 months, she had this episode that she had this infection in the lung that was near fatal. We thought we were going to lose her then. And then the only thing the hospital, after the infection, treating the infection, the only thing the hospital was concerned about was her weight. They were concerned that they said she was failing to thrive. That's the term they gave to it. But they didn't know what was wrong. They just were concerned that she was not thriving. She was not, because at 1 year she was weighing about 6 kg. Imagine that. So wow. So by then, myself and my husband were already spoken about it. We were like, we're not getting any solutions from here in Nigeria. Maybe we should start considering going abroad. And of course, if you say going abroad, almost every other place, you need to start doing all the visa processing and all those things. I just went online. I saw a hospital, a children's hospital. I just Googled specialists, pediatricians in Dubai, and then I got like 3 doctors that I gave my husband. So he picked one of them and sent a message to them and spoke with them. They were like, no problem, and we could come. And that was just how we made the decision to Dubai.
Oh, well done. Interesting. Okay, now, when you now got to Dubai, that was where she was diagnosed, and what exactly were you told?
Okay, when the doctor that saw us was just a general pediatrician. He was a specialist, but it was as in like just the general pediatrician, more or less. But immediately he looked at her, he just said, I'm suspecting it's spinal muscular atrophy. I'm going to send you to go and see a neurologist, a pediatric neurologist. He will be the one who will clear things out. So he referred us to a pediatric neurologist. So it was when we got to the neurologist, he looked at her. He said he was 80% sure that was what it was, but he was going to give us some, was going to do some tests. So they took her blood samples and told us that we should go. The results were going to come out within 6 weeks and everything. So of course, when they said that, of course, I already started researching on the condition and what it entailed. And then I now said, when I saw what the condition was, spinal muscular atrophy, I rejected it with my spirit, soul, and body. It can't be our portion. I was just waiting that the results will come, and then they will say, oh, we thought this was it, but that is not what it is. Because nobody prays for nobody. I don't even wish that for an enemy. You know how you hate somebody so much and you can't even pray for that kind of experience for someone I hate so much. So we rejected it, prayed, said it's not even possible, it's not our portion and all of that. And the result came out in about 4 weeks later, I think, and they confirmed that it was spinal muscular atrophy. And that was the beginning of the journey.
So that's how Ijeoma began her journey into motherhood, by having a daughter who's been diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. That's the first time I'm hearing that disease, though. I've never heard of it before. Okay, dear listeners, I hope you've been enjoying listening to Ijeoma and you've been picking some lessons from our story. So we'll go on a short break now, and when we get back from the musical break, we will continue listening to Ijeoma, and she will tell us how she's been able to cope, with taking care of her daughter that has these special needs. Thank you. Enjoy the music.
It's so easy to forget the victories of the past and focus on the trials of the moment. It's so easy to complain and talk about the pain and forget His goodness and His mercies. But when I look over my shoulder to see how far You brought me, it's so clear You have been faithful all along. So I will not hold back my worship, even through the raging storms. I will open up my mouth and give You praise. I remember Your goodness. I remember Your love. Remember Your faithfulness. I remember Your grace. Na na na. Na na na.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the music. So stay tuned and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, so now when you eventually came back to Nigeria after the diagnosis, right?
Yes.
How has been people's reactions? I mean, maybe
before even COVID happened. Okay, we came to Dubai in February 2020. The whole COVID, everything really picked up in Nigeria in April. The lockdown happened in April.
Okay.
So before even COVID, before we even traveled, I had stopped going to church. And the reason I stopped going to church was because of what people were saying. The words, there are people with good intentions who come to advise you, do this, but it's overwhelming when 20 people meet you one day to tell you what to do about your child.
Wow.
It's overwhelming, no matter how accommodating you try to be. And then there are people who are making, of course, human beings, that who are making back statements. My husband is a faith teacher. He's one of the people in church who will teach you about faith, about holding onto God's word, believing God on His word, and expect. So you hear people say things about after all the faith preaching that he preached, he still might see his child and all of that. So there was pressure. There was external pressure of, and so the only way I could manage that was to stop going to church. So I used to stay at home on Sundays and just me and my daughter before even COVID came and Kukuma kept us at home. So from the most part, from maybe like December 2019, I stopped going to church because people would say, of course, many of them with good intentions. Some others are coming to get something to gossip about. I don't deny that things like that happen. Some people are coming to get stories to tell. Some people are coming to even mock you. I walked into a group of people having a discussion about my daughter once, and I mean, it was heart-rending, kind of, and so that had its own impact. Had its own impact on me also. Yeah, I am super thankful for the kind of man I married, to a great extent. If he wasn't the kind of person that he is, I don't know how much or how well I would have pulled through this phase of my life, because it hits me, at the time I had to go chop my hair off so that I know that I'm not worried about hair. Every month I go to barbing salon and go and cut the hair as low as possible. So because I just wanted my attention, because the whole of my attention was on this girl. As at then, we hadn't even figured out what was wrong. So it was like crazy. You're just running around and not knowing what you were even expecting. And all of that. So yes, it affected my mental health. I was telling one of my friends, I said, when I see my Facebook post prior to 2018, I stopped to wonder, where did this girl go to? I used to be very, very hilarious. I used to be a comedian on Facebook. I could write things that would make people laugh and all of that, but after, it was more or less like I lost that girl. I lost that girl who found fun in life, or who saw, who would always find the fun in everything and all of that. So it took a great toll on me. So how I was able to conquer, first of all, is my husband. My husband was a great support system for me. He would always remind me, I'm writing my story in form of a novel. It was supposed to be out. I was supposed to be launching it on my birthday, but my birthday is 26th of August. I was supposed to be launching it on my birthday, but it's not ready. So, but I'm writing my story in form of a novel. But the thing is, he would always remind me that there's bigger meaning. There's a bigger end to all of these things. Even when we lost our baby in November 2020, my husband will always say something. When something happens to you, the first step to take is to commonize it. He'll say, there's no temptation that comes to man that is not common. That is not common to man, meaning that there's nothing that is happening on earth today that is happening to only you. Yeah. There are people who are going through similar things. There are people who are going through harder things. There are people who are experiencing. So that if you take that first step of commonizing your experiences, it makes it have less power over you. Okay, now, this is easier said than done. It's easier said than done. It's very easy to say it, and it sounds motivating and all of that, but I believe in journey. I believe these things it's a journey. That's the title of this book that I'm writing is Finding Faith, because I called it Finding Faith because it's been a journey of finding faith for me. You know, I've had times when I've asked God questions. I felt abandoned by God. I felt like God wasn't interested in my matter and didn't care about me and all of that. But it's been a journey. The only thing I would say is that I have learned to keep my mind as open as possible, and to tell myself that no matter what happens, there are lessons to be learned, and that I will learn those lessons, and that I will always come out stronger on the other side. As long as I did not die in the process, as long as breath did not leave me in the process, I will always come out stronger on the other side of it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ijoma. You said you had to cut your hair, more like you needed to drop yourself to now kind of like put all you on your daughter. So obviously your career also must have been affected one way or the other, you know. So wow,
definitely. I in fact, I don't even have one now. What I am trying to do is just to settle and then create a proper agency for what I do, so that the work is not totally dependent on me. So it's going to be mostly supervisory. So what I do will now be mostly supervisory, so that even if it's 1 hour or 2 hours, I'm able to get in the whole day. I'm still able to do productive work for myself.
Yeah, well done. Okay, so having gone through all of this, you know, what advice would you give to yourself if you were to become a new mom? You know, or just advise people out there from anything. You have the to new mothers, people who are experiencing motherhood the first time. What I will tell you, 2 things I will tell you. One is get help in whatever form of help that you can get, whether it is physical help, someone to help you take care of the home, someone to help you take care of the children and all of that. Whether it is spiritual help, you need someone to rely on spiritually. Whether it is psychological help, you need to speak to someone. Your head is full and there's nobody to talk to. But the truth is that it's not everybody that have supportive spouses. It's not everybody that have spouses who will come back home and want to help them clean the house, want to help them take care of the children. Some people their spouses are additional problems to them. So while they are figuring out how to take care of their children, take care of their work, take care of the home, they're still trying to figure out how to take care of another grown human being. So you see that you need some form of help. So whatever help, identify whatever form of help you need, and please reach out. I'm saying this because I'm someone who does not know how to ask for help. I always want to do everything by myself, and it takes a toll on me. It takes a toll on me. It's not helpful in any way. Please try get help. And then secondly, always remind yourself that this phase will pass. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you understand, things will change. It will pass. Thank you so much, Ijoma. Thank you. You kind of like humbled me with your story, you know. Sometimes you just feel like you are the only one going through until you hear someone else's story, you know. Thank you so much. And we will be having you again. We'll have you next week on the show. You know, I would really like you to talk about how you've been able to thrive, how you've been able to spring again from all of these struggles. So until we reach out to you again next week, Ijoma, take good care of yourself. Thank you once again for
so much.
regards to your daughter, and that strength that you've been drawing from God and the faith that you keep finding. Please don't stop finding faith.
Thank you.
Okay, our dear listeners, thank you for staying with us on the show today. I believe you've been able to learn some lessons. You've been able to draw some things from Ijeoma's story. So we will be having her again next week to tell us how she's been able to thrive, because she's really thriving right now. She'll tell us how she's been able to thrive despite all the challenges she's gone through in her early stage of motherhood. Until I join you again next week, same time, same station, Abeko Radio. Take good care of yourself and don't stop unleashing the spring of greatness within you. Enjoy the music.
Somebody give the Lord some praise in this place. Come on, come on. Somebody bless the name of the Lord. Father,